So DBFA, Deaf Baptist Fellowship of America, this year was in Tucson, Arizona, and the theme was Have Faith in God. Next year, DBFA will be where? In Tennessee, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. This year the cost was $100 per person. Next year, for the 35th anniversary of Pigeon Forge, it's near Fort Bluff, Tennessee. The cost is not going to be $100. It's going to be $35. You can afford that, right? Yes. You planning on going? If it's God's will, yes. Laura, hey, Laura, are you planning to go next year? I have to go. I have to take them over to Tennessee next year. $35. You can afford that, right? Next year. $100 this year plus gas. No, this is in Tennessee now. Pigeon Forge. Each person registers, and you get your name tag and all of that. Whatever your plan is, you can fly, drive, you work it out yourself, but pray that we'll have a good group next year. It's June 23rd to the 27th. We've got some advertisements. I left them home, but I'll bring them next week. I am excited. It was a good week at DBFA. Yes, I want to inform you now to go ahead and plan, start saving for next year. It's not too far from here. It's a very nice area. The church grounds, there's a famous shopping center. It's beautiful country over there. And plus the teaching, the music, the teaching from God's Word. I want you now to look at Mark chapter 11, verse number 22. Mark 11:22. All right. Mark chapter 11, verse 22 says, "And Jesus answering saith unto them, Have faith in God." I want you to sign that with me. Ready? Mark chapter 11, verse 22. "And Jesus answering saith unto them, Have faith in God." Now, as I preached this message at DBFA. I'm going to divide this into two, maybe three, because I had over an hour over there. They give me very much freedom. I'm not a typically long preacher. Here I typically preach around 25 minutes, so I had a long message, so I'm going to break it down. Here in the United States of America and throughout the world, people are beginning to doubt God. They don't believe God. They think He's a joke. You look on Facebook and you see all these postings about unbelief in God, and many people are becoming atheists. And you see this becoming more and more prevalent. On the internet, you see all this information. You say, oh, God's just a fairy tale. And people are forgetting how America was established when people left England to become Americans, to trust God, and He has blessed America since then. And you go to Philadelphia, I've been to Philadelphia, and you look at the oldest court and the Liberty Bell and all this stuff. There's verses everywhere. The Liberty Bell that has the crack on it has a verse, Leviticus about liberty throughout the land, and that's on the Liberty Bell. And there's verses all over the historical places of our country honoring God and honoring the Bible. Today, they're trying to take all this stuff out and throw it off and do whatever men want to do. We have to be so careful. People who are not yet saved, they don't know. They just spout stuff off. But we have been saved. What does it mean to be saved? Remember Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9? For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. That means it's not from my works. I've got to look to God, Jesus' death on the cross, ask for his forgiveness, accept him, and then I'm saved. It's not through the Baptist church. It's not through my work, my baptism. It's not through any of that. Isaiah says, your works are as filthy rags. The things that you do, God looks at that and laughs at them. It's worthless. You've got to trust me, God says, and that's how we're saved through faith. And we live by faith, and we serve through faith, and we do everything by faith. This is an important concept. Mark chapter 11, verses 22 says, we must have faith in God. What's the point? You've got to look up at verses 12 through 14 to get a picture of this. Look at verse 12. It says, on the morrow, when they were come from Bethany, he, speaking of Jesus, was hungry, and seeing a fig tree afar off, having leaves, he came, if haply he might find anything thereon. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for the time of figs was not yet. And Jesus answered and said unto it, no man eat fruit of thee hereafter forever. And his disciples heard it. Jesus, this is a fig tree now. I'm not really a farmer. I'm not smart about fruit and all this stuff. Israel, they had fig trees. But Jesus was hungry. He came over there and there was no fruit. There were no figs on the tree. It was barren. It had nothing on it. And Jesus said, hey, tree, you're going to be cursed from now on. There will be, from this point on, there will be nothing that you will get. What is the point? If you look down at verse number 20 through 22, we see an explanation. And it says, and in the morning, as they passed by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots. And Peter, calling to remembrance, saith to him, Master, behold, the fig tree which thou cursest is withered away. And Jesus answering saith unto him, have faith in God. Jesus looked at the tree and said, no one will ever eat from this tree. From this point forward, this tree will not produce fruit. This tree had leaves, it was strong, there was no figs. On the next day, the disciples came by. Peter saw the same tree, had a double take. He said, hey guys, look at this. It was already withered away because the roots had dried up sometimes, you see a tree that's has been withered up, but the roots were still there. But even this tree, it was completely cursed. After Jesus said, hey, from this point forward, no one will eat, the very next day it had already shriveled up and died and been destroyed. The disciples were like, whoa, yesterday this happened, and now, yesterday is when you just said this, and now today is when this happened. He said, yeah, have faith in God. Isn't that what I said yesterday? You think I'm just making stuff up? No. What I say is true. The very next day, one day, wow, Peter was with Jesus, and he had heard the statement just one day, and it happened. And he's saying, yes, of course, what I say will happen. Have faith in God. In the Bible, there's many stories about faith that can apply to different situations. We're going to look at some different people and their lives. Maybe it will apply to your life. I've heard the story. It's so sad. It's a very sad story. People don't understand. Do you remember Vernon and Velma Miller? They served the Lord for many, many years as missionaries in Peru. He's a wonderful man. He went to Gallaudet University and then transferred here, got saved in the fall of 1985. God called him and became a leader here, taught the deaf here, and then went to be a missionary to Jamaica for a few years, then came back here and still had a burden to go as a missionary, and stayed in Peru for many, many years, established a church, established a college, an institute there, and now there are 9 other churches that have started from that ministry out of Fada, and God has done a wonderful work. In 2000, his health started declining, came home here, and his health continued to decline. Through frustration, he started forgetting things. They were forced to move him into a nursing home on the Alzheimer's unit. And Velma said, God served God for many, many years. Why would this happen to him? My husband is, what am I supposed to tell her? What am I supposed to do? Vernon served God for many, many years in Peru, saw many people saved, and now his body was this way. What am I to do? It's a hard situation. What am I to tell her? Have faith in God. I wish I could eloquently state, how God is this way. No. How can you explain this? Peter said this to God, to Jesus on the road. Velma would never understand why this would happen. There are many stories. There are 2 kids in our church right now. There are 6 and 7, a girl and a boy, who are both from very sweet families, who love the Lord, who both have brain cancer. What happened? They're both in the same class. Can you imagine that? This boy had surgery, found out that there's a brain tumor over the brainstem. They had surgery to remove 60%, but there's still 40% left. They're still doing chemotherapy. We continue to pray that God will give healing. We don't know if God will heal him. The other girl, she's 6. She had brain cancer. A tumor did not wrap itself around the stem. It was separated, but they were able to remove it. Seems as if it's been a success. She's going through radiation and chemotherapy. She's 6. Both families are saying, why would this happen? As pastor visits them, what can he say but have faith in God? It's the same for you and I. We meet people in different situations. Say, oh yeah, we got married and we have such a great life, and then we got divorced. What happened to me? Oh, I had a great job, very successful, and then I got laid off. Why? What can I say? But I'm sorry. But have faith in God. As we look at the Bible, there are several different stories that perhaps would apply to your lives, that deal with faith. I want you to look at 2 Kings chapter 5, verses 1 through 4. Here in 2 Kings chapter 5, we're looking at verses 1 through 4. Understand, the little maid. It's not the Little Mermaid. This is not the Disney film. This is the Little Maid. I'm sure kids have seen the Mermaid. This is not the point today. Oh, this is the story from, no, the Disney World film. No, it's not. This is the Little Maid, okay? Chapter 5, verses 1 through 4, it says, Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master, and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. And she said unto her mistress, Would God, my Lord, were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel. This is a little girl. How old do you think she is? We don't really know. She might have been 10, 12 years old. We don't really know. It just says little maid. I have a daughter who's 10, could be, 10, 12, 13. This is a small girl. She's not from Syria. Syria had conquered other lands and had taken captives, strong children who could serve. This little girl was going to serve Naaman's wife. This was not her home, her land. She served Naaman's wife as a servant girl. And Naaman was a strong captain of the army, and he had contracted leprosy. In America, there is almost no leprosy. In Bible times, there is, it's called dead skin, white skin, and their fingers would fall off, their pieces of their flesh would fall off their face. People would obviously come away from them, and Naaman had contracted leprosy, and there was no one that could help them. Naaman would die from that disease, and he began to think, what would I do? So this little girl, this maid, came to Naaman's wife and said, hey, in Israel, there's a prophet, and if Naaman would go to see his prophet, God could help him. It's true. Now hold on. That girl, what a powerful testimony. Naaman's wife could have said, oh, you silly little girl, that's enough. Okay, go ahead and play. Go on now. What games are you playing? I don't know what they had back then. Go ahead and play. If they're, I don't know, Super Mario or whatever. But obviously that girl was a very sweet girl. What a wonderful testimony. Hey. And what a powerful little girl. Obviously obviously, what a wonderful testimony, because this Naaman's wife trusted her. Most time, teenagers these days just make stuff up. But no, this girl was trustworthy. There's a man who would give healing in Israel. So Naaman's wife said, hey, is that true? She went and told her husband. So what did her husband say? I didn't read the whole passage, but her husband believed her. The captain of the army, this little girl, oh, you go ahead and play with your baby dolls. Go back. No, that's not what he said. Obviously, her life testimony was trustworthy. Looking at her life, she believed him. So this guy came to the king of Syria and said, hey, I'm gonna go do this. This little girl, she had faith in God that God could heal Naaman. Maybe you're here today and you say, I'm deaf, or I'm old, or I'm too young, I'm not very smart, I haven't been to college, I'm just a nobody. It doesn't matter who you are. This little girl was not even from Syria, and this lady said, hey, this little girl said, trust God. Maybe you're here today. Oh, I don't have work. My Social Security checks are small. I don't have a lot. It doesn't matter. God can use you. The point is, have faith in God, and God is able to do everything. Say, oh, I live in Jacksonville. I live in Georgia. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what education. It doesn't matter what family background you have. The importance is that you have faith in God. It doesn't matter all these other things. It is important that your life shows what you're saying. This girl was a slave girl, but everyone believed her. When she came into the land, if she would have complained, said, oh, they're so awful to me, so they're terrible. No, her life was a clear representation that she believed God. She did the right thing. Same as Joseph in Egypt. The same as this little girl who honored and did the right thing, and then when the time came, she said, have faith in God, and everyone paid attention to what she said. Because her life was already a testimony. I don't know, maybe at college, at work, at the Institute, FSDB. The importance is that you trust God. Have faith in God. And your friends and family will respect you. Their lives are a mess. If your life's a mess and you say, hey, trust God, they're not going to listen to you. Your life has got to fit and match up with what your testimony and what you're saying. If your life is right, they will listen to you. This little maid trusted God, and it influenced Naaman's wife, which influenced Naaman, which influenced the king, which allowed Naaman to go. Do you think, our president, is he doing a good job? I don't know. It's a tough situation. It's easy just to give up and say, no, we can't give up. We got to pray for him. We got to pray for our state. We got to pray for those who are making decisions so that we can make a change. Say, oh, forget it. We're already in the tank. No, this guy was already a leper. And this one girl said, no, trust God. And they believed her. This little girl, and also, Naaman's situation was a little different now. Look at verses 9 through 15. Second Kings chapter 5, verses 9 through 15. So Naaman came with his horses, with his chariot, stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth. He was angry. He went away and said, Behold, I thought, he will surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God and strike his hand over the place and recover the leper. And are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? And so he turned and went away in a rage. And his servants came near and spake unto him and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldest thou not have done it? How much rather then, when he said to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and was clean. And he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore, I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. So Naaman, through his riches, his prestige, his horses, his chariots, as he travels and gets to Elisha's house. Now remember, this little girl told me about Elisha. Through his wife, he's been told now, the king had given him permission to go. So, this is Naaman. I am the great leader. I am the great military genius. Everybody honor me. As he gets to Elisha's house, he's ready. Everyone's standing at attention, knocks on the door, and the servant peeks out of the blinds, comes back and says, Hey, Elisha, there's a guy out here. He said his name is Naaman. And Elisha's like, Yeah, I'm busy. Tell him to go and wash 7 times in the Jordan. Okay, I'll go tell him. So he comes out, peeks out, and says, Hey, Elisha said to go and wash yourself 7 times in the river Jordan. Go 7 times. Naaman was furious. He said, Hey, Elisha should have stopped what he was doing and come down and bowed down and honored me, gotten everything, everyone around. Hey, this is really important. Forget everything else what you're doing. Naaman, today. You got to honor him. Wash everything in. Bring him down. He's deserving of all this honor. That's what this guy's saying. They should have come and honored me. He was mad. The Jordan River. It's dirty. I don't like that river. I should have gone to my hometown. We got beautiful water over there. It's so nice. That river, it's terrible. I won't go in there. No way. His servants are like, we've come all this way. If he would have told you to done some great thing, you would have done it. This is very simple. Just go 7 times in the river. Come on, just try it. Fine. He gets into the dirty water. I'm sure he was complaining the whole time. It was embarrassing. Fine, I'll do this. This is silly. I'm sure he's thinking in the back of his mind, it's going to be the headline of the paper. Naaman dunking himself in the dirty water of Jordan. I'm sure everyone's going to mock me in Syria. It's going to be in the Syrian Post, whatever the name of their newspaper was. He dunks once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. He gets out of the water and instantly he was clean. Wow. it's true what God said. What the girl told my wife and what my wife told me, it's true. God can do it. He runs back. He realized that all the idols of his land were worthless. He was clean. And now that he realized this, he's humble. Sometimes we think, serve God, come to church, drive a van, come on. I want to preach. Driving the van, it's hot. Picking all these people up, me clean after everyone leaves, me clean up, throw out the trash, why me? I want to sing in the church, I want to praise God. They call me to do all the cleaning, why? They want me to help on July 19th, picking up all the trash and putting chairs and tables away. Why me? That's not my job. I want the job where I get all the recognition. I don't want the little simple jobs. Serving God, you should receive that with humility. Jacksonville. Oh, I'd rather be in Columbus, Ohio. Oh, it's much better up there. Oh, Columbus, Ohio. I'm sure people in Columbus, Ohio are saying they'd rather be in Florida. It's not fair. He's got a good job. I've got a lousy job. Why is that? It's not fair. Oh, he's got a beautiful house. Mine's nothing. Oh, he's healthy and I'm sick. Oh, we complain and we complain and we complain. I should get what I want. Everyone should follow me. God has different plans for different people. Not everyone is the same. This is what God told Naaman. He had to accept it. God has different plans for your lives. Why does it happen? We don't know, but we've got to trust God. If you get mad, that's not right. You've got to accept the things that God has given, the place and the plan that He has for you. If you accept it, God will bless you. We've got to have faith in God. You say, John Olson doesn't like me. He never talks to me. He ignores me. Or Trisha, this and that. You're not serving me. You're not serving Trisha. You're serving God. Naaman said, oh, shame on this guy. Elisha says, no, I'm no one. It's not me. I'm just here to tell you what God has to say. Naaman wants the recognition. No. It's between God and him. It's the same with you and I. You don't come to church for me. You come to church for the Lord. It's true. Sometimes, hey, Stephen Buck, can you help me with this? Someone else says, oh, it's not fair. You ignore me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Thank God that God is using Stephen Buck. At some point, maybe there'll be another opportunity for you to serve the Lord as well. Don't complain. I'm not looking at you saying, oh, how can I hurt this person? Hey, can you help me by interpreting? She says, yeah, sure, I'd be happy to interpret. Say, hey, why do you go to her? That's not me. That's not fair. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I prayed, and God led me to her. I'm not saying that she's better than you. I'm not saying that anything. I'm saying that she's serving the Lord. Stop complaining. Have faith in God. God knows you. God knows everything about Elijah and Naaman, the whole situation. And Naaman had to accept and do what God told him to do, and it worked. Perhaps people don't notice me, or people overlook me. God knows what you do, and God will bless you and I. We've got to serve the Lord and stop thinking about, oh, they have it better over there, or I wish I was over there. God has put me here, and I'm going to serve Him here. And I'm going to be passionate. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to get to work. And God is going to bless me and reach others with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Over there, it's better. No, quit it. Focus on what you've got going on. Oh, I wish I was in the hearing ministry. I wish I was interpreting. Each one is used in different places. Oh, Some people don't have deaf ministries. People get saved. They have a deaf Sunday school, but they don't have a deaf church. There's no deaf pastor. And then a few years later, I started going to church, and there was no deaf ministry. John Barr showed up a few years after I got saved, and John Barr was green. I don't know if you know who John Barr is. He's the president of Silent Word Ministries. But when he first started, he and his wife had just been married 2 weeks after he got married. His wife knew no sign language. Now, she's the wife of the president of Silent Word Ministries. You say, she doesn't know signs. Why would they send her? I wish someone else would come. These people are lousy. You could complain. But as deaf teenagers, we were excited. We targeted her. Oh, we picked on her. We teased her. It was so much fun. As a young 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old, we loved picking on her. And as I graduated, went to Rochester, New York, the deaf pastor I met, Phil Boyd, I just loved him and got to know him. And he and his wife knew sign language and moved back. He said, oh yeah, these people are deaf and they know sign language. John Barr and his wife, they still loved us. And now, he's worked hard, and now they're reaching deaf all over the world. And his wife, in all of her humility, continues to pass out the paperwork and teaching classes. And I think in my mind, I remember back then, when she knew no sign language. I thank God for her friendship, that we're able to serve the Lord together. You say, oh, I don't like that person. We compare this person to other people. Stop complaining. Be thankful that God has put people here. Thank God that we can serve Him together here. If we're complaining, it's not going to help anything. God will continue to bless us when we thank God for the deaf ministry and the deaf church that we have, the teachers that we have, the leaders that we have. We thank God that we're serving Him here. And guess what happens? God is going to bless you. Go ahead and stand as we pray.